Hey, hey, what's going on?
Hey.
You guys ready or what?
Yeah.
Come on now. You guys ready or what?
Yes. Yes.
Come on. You guys ready? There you go. All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Well, hey, I'm pumped. I'm excited. It's an honor to be able to do this for you guys. And, you know, a lot of the stuff you heard from these guys, honestly, does apply to expireds as well. So a lot of the tools you just got are going to work with expireds. I'd say probably one of the main differences sometimes, and this is a sometimes, is that with an expired, you can talk to them in the morning, and they'll also be listed in the afternoon. And that's really, really cool. They talked about, Mick talked about, you know, the FSBOs being more of a kind of a long-term approach. And they talked about follow-up. We see about 70%, guys, about 70% of our business comes from follow-up. Matter of fact, everybody say 70%.
70%.
Yeah, remember that number. That's the number that comes from follow-up. And we're going to talk more about that as we get going. So my name's David Hill. I started in real estate 2002. So I've been in real estate for, man, it's been a while now. Started calling, listen to this, I started calling FSBOs my first day, guys. First day in the business. All right, number one, I joined a team, the Steve Clements team, and I don't know if anybody else, you know, you get your license and all these real estate companies call you and they tell you, you know, what they have to offer and what they're going to do. And this guy, Steve, he kind of talked my language. He said, hey, do you want to learn a way to make money right out of the gate? And I said, yeah, of course. So he says, okay, I want you to show up at my office Sunday morning. I want you to bring all the real estate sections from the newspaper. So we had the Telegram Gazette, we had the Boston Herald, we had the Globe. So I grabbed all the real estate sections, I brought them with me. He said, I want you to bring a highlighter. I want you to bring these index cards right here, index cards just like this. Bring an index card. I want you to bring scissors and a Sharpie. I said, okay, I'll do that. No, like I'm thinking, like I'm going into real estate. What does this stuff have to do with real estate, right? So anyway, we get there, and what do? He puts us all in a room. It's Steve, myself, one of his agents, and we have two other brand new agents, just like myself. So what we do is he has us open up the newspaper sections and we go through all the real estate sections with a highlighter. And we're highlighting all the FSBO ads, right? So then we go through after and we cut them out with the scissors, right? See, I got real creative. I ended up bringing in a Sharpie, one of those little Sharpie. I'm sorry, those X-Acto, remember the X-Acto knives? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to take this to the next level, X-Acto knife. All right, anyway, so we cut them out. We tape them to the top of the index card, just like this. We wrote our notes, and then we had a little index box, and this was our file folder. This was our system, guys, back then. Seriously. Maybe for some of you, this is your system now. This worked. We filed them, and then every week we'd go through based on town, and we'd call, and we'd leave our notes on here until eventually they were ready to go. So anyway, we go through this, and then after that, Steve gives us a script, kind of like this. These are a couple scripts I have that I carry with me everywhere. Gives us scripts, and then, you know, there's five of us in the room. And he says, okay, I want you guys to role play. Now, I come into this with experience, okay? I've been on the phone since I was 17 years old. I sold Kirby vacuum cleaners. I worked in a call center for Chase. I mean, I've been on the phones my whole life. Some of these agents, you know, these new people, they had never been on the phone. So anyway, he gives us a script. We start practicing the script. So we're going around for, I don't know, 20, 25 minutes. We're practicing the script with each other. All right, so Steve says, okay, you guys ready? We're like, yeah, let's do it. All right, pick up the phones. So we pick up the phones and we start calling. We're using the script, so I'm calling. Hey, this is Dave Hill. Listen, take me off your list. Click, hanging up. I'm like, wow, these guys are kind of grouchy, you know? So anyway, the next person calls, and then the next, and we're doing it live, so we're all watching each other. Gets the next person, they're like, listen, I'm all set, man. If I wanted an agent, I would have hired an agent myself, right? Click. I'm like, wow, these guys are tough. So, you know, I'm used to this, though, right? I'm coming in with experience. This lady, poor Gita, she's in a full body sweat. I mean, not great lady. She left real estate. You know, unfortunately, she didn't end up leaving real estate. But listen, so we're going around, and I must have got like 5 or 6 no's. And honestly, my scripts weren't that good. But finally, I got someone on the phone. You know, I said, hey, Dave Hill here with Steve Clements' team. I noticed you're selling a house yourself. Just wondering if you're interested in using an agent. And the guy was like, yes. And I was like, I started stuttering, right? I had no idea what to say because all we talked about is, hey, you use these scripts when they say no. Anyway, Steve grabbed the phone out of my hand and he closed. And we set the appointment. And that was my first listing, guys. First listing. We set that appointment. So, long story short, listed 7 for-sale by owners my first month in the real estate business. I know it sounds really glamorous, right? You're like, yeah, 7. Listen, I must have called 800 to get those 7. And I was working literally 10-hour days, 7 days a week. I mean, I was grinding in the beginning. All right, my first year in business, closed 42 sides. Started working expireds, guys, not until 2009. And I'll tell you about that. You know, this was like a mindset thing. Somebody planted a seed in the beginning. They said, oh, you don't want to work with expireds? You know, they're like really grouchy. You don't want to work with them. So that was, I didn't know any better. Does anybody ever give anybody else here bad advice? Anybody ever got any bad advice that you look bad? Yeah, I thought it was only me. Anyway, 2014, guys, my team listed over 120 FSBO and expired sellers. Right now, our business is still about 35% both FSBO and expired. It's a big part of our business. Heather talked about the hassle-free program. That's something we've been using for about 8 years now. I've learned a lot of these techniques. I am a KWU trainer, one of about 125 actual KWU certified trainers that get to go around the country and teach, so I'm really humbled to be that. I'm passionate about teaching. You know, what I'm doing today, we're actually doing a webinar, and from what I understand, it's free for everybody here. 6-week webinar. We did week 1 a few days ago, so you guys are welcome to jump in for the next 5 weeks. It's on Wednesdays at 3:30, and Erin and Kelsey can get you set up with that. And what I did was I kind of took that, and I'm making that into a 1-hour presentation right now. So you guys are getting that. So if you want to go deep, get into that webinar, because that's what it's all about. Passionate about that. Listen, I learned these techniques from role playing with guys like Jeff Glover. You guys know who Jeff Glover is? Kid's a monster in Michigan. Gina Ront, you know Gina Ront, right? The bald guy, he was one of my role play partners. Derek Lipsky. Remember Dave Norberg? You guys know Dave Norberg? So yeah, he's an old school guy. He used to be like the scripts guy. Back in the day, probably before a lot of us were even at KW, going 10, 12 years ago, Dave was the guy that was on all the videos. You know, the white hair, the older gentleman. And you know, he was amazing. I got him as a role play partner. You know how I did that? I just kept asking. Every family reunion, I'd ask him, hey, will you be my role player? Oh, I'm sorry, dude, I got a full schedule. See you next year. Hey, man, will you be my role player? Nah, dude, I got a full schedule. Kept asking, and finally one year, I was like, you know what, dude, I got an opening. I got him as a role play partner. So by role playing with people like that, it made me better. It made me better. It helped my business a lot. So I know what you guys are all thinking right now. I know exactly what you're thinking. Every one of you is thinking, so what? Who cares? What about me? Right? Is that what you're all thinking? Like, who cares about you, man? This is for me, right? Nobody else is thinking that? As a matter of fact, turn to the person next to you and say, so what? Who cares? What about me? Do it, seriously.
So what? Who cares? What about me?
You know why I tell you to say that? You know why I tell you to say this? Because when you're sitting there and you're meeting with a client, and you're going off over all the stuff you've done and how great your business is and how great your team is and this and that, in their mind they're thinking, good for you, so what? What about me? Seriously, think about that. So I did want to qualify myself just to let you know that I'm qualified to stand here, right? I don't do this to impress you, but to impress upon you that I've done this a couple of times. All right, so here's what I'd like to know from you guys. What are your goals? I mean, what do you want to get from this next 4.5 hours with me? I mean 45 minutes. What do you guys want to take from this next 45 minutes? I want to get a couple. Give me like 3 or so. 3 takeaways. And this is an important question too. Let's hear it. A couple people.
Can I just touch on an aha for me?
Yeah, of
You've
course.
been in business since 2002, and you still scripts and role plays. How crazy is that? I think a lot of people, they just go, I'm get some success, and they stop. That's what I love about it.
The interesting detail is if you look at my scripts now, which I carry with me everywhere, these are everywhere. You know, I had a new guy start with me, Spencer, and I said, you need to carry that script booklet with you everywhere, which he did for a week. This is all for calling talent, though. It's not even for calling expireds and physicals anymore. No, I carry these with me everywhere. All right, so what I'd like to say, what is your main goal for? So, like, what do you want from this? You're going to be here with me for another, I don't know, 40 minutes or so. What do you want to take? What would make this a win for you?
What is your favorite script for expires?
My favorite script. Okay, cool. We're going to share with you the 7 scripts. There's typically only, would you guys agree, there's only like usually anywhere from 5 to maybe 10 objections that come up. Did you guys know that? So if we can master those 5 to 10 every single time, we got it covered. So we're going to share the script with you. Kelsey's actually going to email all of us a script. So you guys can get that after. We'll play around with that in a little bit. All right, what else though?
Challenges around sign crossing.
I'm gonna put scripts up. All right, so you said, I can't even spell scripts anymore. All right, what is it? Challenges?
Challenging around sign crossing, so it's another KW agent that's expired.
Challenges around, okay, got it. So, challenge, all right, I've never heard that.
So like setting yourself apart from another KW agent?
No, well, in
Oh,
our office, our team leader doesn't want us to call another Keller
Oh,
Williams.
got it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
All right, so like
Right,
calling,
yeah, I like that amendment.
yeah, our office is, so I would say with that, it's probably specific, right? Specific to your market center or your office, so we don't have that issue. There are certain agents in my office though, that like I know them, certain agents in my market, that I'm gonna call them first. Just because we have that relationship. So for me, it's kind of like a respect thing, right? There's other agents that it's open game. You know, people call my expires, I call their expires. It really depends on the relationship. So, Mike, we don't have that, all right? So that doesn't really apply to
Well,
us.
you
All right,
said-
what else?
You said a relationship, just building a relationship with an expired is different than building a relationship with a FISBO, so I'd like for you to elaborate
Yeah,
on that.
absolutely, absolutely. And you know, here's the thing, Mick, is just like FISBO, sometimes, no matter what we say, no matter how good we are with our scripts and our dialogue, they're just not gonna list with us today. So we have to get into that relationship, we have to get their email address, we have to get them into the system, into Boomtown, and drip on them, that's how we do it. Yes?
Your pre and post calling routine and or habits. So what do you do before you start calling? How do you set it up? What does it look like? What do you do afterwards? How do you set that up? What does it look like?
All right, one more time, I'm trying to spell relationship over here. I'm like, something doesn't look right.
Oh, that's awesome.
Some people, like, something's not right.
Oh, that's
All right,
great.
I know, sorry about that. I'm like real, and I'm trying to figure, I can't even listen to what James over here. All right, what were you saying?
So like
Jim?
your pre-calling and post-calling habits. Like what do you do? Like you're in
Oh, yeah, yeah.
What are you gonna do lead up to that? What are you gonna do when you're done?
All right, so pre-call and then post-call, love it. All right, so we'll stop there. All right, so those are some things. If you get those things, it's gonna be a win?
Yeah.
Everybody say it's gonna be a win?
Yes.
All right, awesome. Okay, so these are things we're gonna talk about. So here's a question for you though. This question up here is a brilliant question for when you're meeting with anybody. Anybody, any seller. Should be the first question you ask. What is your main goal with selling this house? What is your main goal for our meeting today? It's a brilliant place to start with anybody you're meeting with, even with a buyer. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Either one recruit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course, yeah, absolutely. All right. Okay, so what we'll discuss, connecting with sellers, techniques to shift mindset. We talk about mindset, and here's the thing. Remember I shared earlier, when I started in this business, somebody told me, Adam talked earlier this morning about the little voice. We all have the, like, you know the little voice? The one that just said, what little voice? that little voice. We all have them, and he talks to us. Somebody told me in the beginning that, you know what, expireds, man, you don't want to waste time on them. They don't want to list with you. They're grouchy. You know, they blah, 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 blah. So that's what was implanted in my head. I had no idea. I was a brand new agent coming in with sales experience, and somebody implanted that seed in my head, so I never even called expireds until 2009. Imagine that. And the other mindset is what was just said right here brilliantly by the two people that are up here about coming from contribution. Coming from a place of, you know what, I'm just here to help. If I can help, then hey, I'd love to. If I can't, if you want to treat me like a doormat, oh, hey, okay, hey, cool, man, it's good, it's good. I really am not going to take it personal. I don't take it personal. I've done it so much, I don't. They might be having a bad day. We might have caught them at a bad time. Maybe be just, you know, their kids are acting. You have no idea what's going on the other end of that phone, and we can't take that personal. It comes down to mindset. So you take yourself, you got to figure out a way, guys. Here's the thing. If we can figure out a way to take ourselves out of the equation, just make it about them. Like, hey, I'm just calling to help. It's my job. It's what I do, my job. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Learn the scripts and strategies for earning business without being pushy or aggressive. This is the title that I gave to the webinar that we're doing. When I talk about this, see, when people say, well, you know, you seem kind of pushy, I used to get that a lot, honestly. I came in aggressive. I learned to sell back in the